special edition of We the People coming to you from Mumbai today. 20 years after serial blasts ripped through the heart of India's financial capital, there is finally a verdict from the highest court of the land. A verdict that delivers one death sentence, 30 life terms and sends high-profile actor Sanjay Dutt back to jail. Yet the verdict continues to be debated. 2 decades later, with justice delayed, has justice been denied as well? There continue to be questions around Sanjay Dutt, of course, sometimes at the peril of ignoring all the other stories. Has the actor been shown leniency or has he been shown harshness? Public opinion is divided. And then, of course, there remain deeper questions about the backdrop in which the blasts occurred. 1992, remember, was a year that actually really created fault lines in India's fabric. There were riots that still await justice as well. On the program today, we'll be looking at what sort of closure, if any, has been delivered by the Supreme Court verdict in the 93 blast case. And we'll also be looking at this case through the eyes of survivors and victims. Bachi, I want to actually start with you. I want to start with some voices from outside the legal political domain. As a Mumbaikar, you actually wrote a column saying that 1993 was when the spirit of Mumbai was born. This phrase that has come to be so disdained today and treated with so much contempt, this is when a genuine spirit was born. When you see a verdict that comes 2 decades later, does it leave you with more questions than answers? Or as a member of this city, as someone who saw the blast, does it leave you with a sense of, oh, finally, we can close this chapter?
No, Barkha, I don't think we can close this chapter till we have Daud in hand, till we have Tiger Memon in hand, and till really the findings of the Sri Krishna Commission are brought to the table.
And that the commission looking at the riots that preceded the blast.
You really cannot discuss the bomb blast without discussing the riots. And, you know, I find so little comment being offered on the riots that it's absurd. It's like, you know, talking of an event without talking of effect, without talking of cause. Of course,
but when you say that, it sounds like you justify what happened. Cause and effect languages are usually used by politicians.
I would never justify. You look, 2 wrongs never make a right. And certainly I cannot justify what happened to Mumbai or Bombay as it was at that time.
And it was Bombay then.
And it was Bombay at that time. But the point is that, you know, you cannot say, well, in all situations like that, it's the innocent bystander, person who had nothing to do with the case, whether we look at 26/11, whether we look at our rail blast, whether we look at what happened in Delhi or Hyderabad or all across the country. It's always the innocent bystander who gets hit, and that's what terrorism is all about, to create terror, not to really affect justice.
Yeah. Kabir, let me get a perspective from you. And there has been a sharp criticism of the fact that the film industry, as it were, has focused entirely on Sanjay Dutt. And it has suddenly sprung to this discourse which is all about poor Sanjay, poor Sanjay, poor Sanjay, as if there are no other convicts, as if there are no other accused, as if there are no other families who are impacted. Why this one narrative from the film industry?
You know, well, I don't know Sanjay Dutt personally. I've met him on a couple of occasions, that's about it. But it's natural, I think, for people in his fraternity, people who are his friends, who have worked with him, to be sympathetic towards him. What happens is that the people who are speaking about him are very high-profile people. Yeah. So the fact that 20 film stars are being sympathetic to their friend, colleague, you know, that's getting highlighted by the media. So it looks like the entire film fraternity is saying, you know, oh, he didn't commit a mistake. We're not saying that. You know, he did commit a mistake. He did, for whatever, misplaced machismo or genuine paranoia or a combination of the two. He did possess illegal arms, which is a very grave offense, and yes, there should be a punishment for it. But I think within the film industry, the perception is that had he been sentenced to 5 years or 6 years at that point in time, and he served those 5 years, he came out, he could have started his life with a clean slate and moved on. Now they feel that, you know, he did a part of his sentence then he lived for 15 years with the sword hanging on his head all the time. Am I going to go in? Am I going to stay out? And now, after, you know, so many years, he's going back in. So in a way, they feel that he's actually serving out like a 20-year sentence, not a 5-year sentence.
So it's the nature of the delay that actually, in a sense, speaks to that. But that would, of course, impact all the other families. There are other families as well, some of whom have served 17 years in prison and now find themselves facing a life term. Manoj Joshi, the fact is that you have somebody like Bachi Karkaria saying that you cannot divorce the riots that preceded it, you cannot divorce the non-implementation of the Sri Krishna Commission report from the blast, but she's not using one to justify the other. I want to ask you on the Shiv Sena's position, because interestingly, Balasaheb Thackeray, while he was alive, showed a lot of sympathy for Sanjay Dutt. There were statements from him which actually said that it would be that it would be in the kindness of things to forgive him. But yet the Shiv Sena treated all the other blast accused as different from Sanjay Dutt. So why did the Shiv Sena take one position on Sanjay Dutt and one position on all the others?
I don't find this difference what you mentioned here.
Yes.
The Shiv Sena has been always saying that the law should be same for everybody in the country, and unfortunately it is found that there is difference between the actual law which comes into existence and the law which is mentioned in the law books. If some discipline is to be brought in country, because we have found that in America this type of incident happened only once, only because there is a fear about the government. And unfortunately that does not happen in our country, and therefore the people feel that the Shiv Sena is taking two different stands.
But Mr. Joshi, as the Chief Minister of the state, you actually rejected the findings of the Sri Krishna Commission report. And the Sri Krishna Commission report, while indicting the role of the Shiv Sena in the riots, was not too kind to the Congress either. It actually said that the Sudhakar Rao Nayak government was politically weak in stopping the riots. Why did the Shiv Sena reject the implementation of the Sri Krishna Commission report? Because then you have people of the city saying, what about justice for the riot victims? Because you, as the Chief Minister, on the floor of the Assembly of Maharashtra said you reject this report.
I personally felt all the times that the government should be essentially impartial.
But do you believe that the Sena should have implemented the findings of the Sri Krishna Commission report? Yes or no? That's a no. Now, MN Singh, let me take the conversation forward.
I've never said anything in yes or no.
Well, you said it on the floor of the House.
But my
as Chief Minister, you rejected the findings.
I would not be able to say that in yes or no.
Okay.
But I have already said that the people were not happy that time. Also, I am talking of 1993. And as regards the law and order, the same condition exists today. But I must also say that the politicians are mainly responsible, because the politicians do not take strong actions, and therefore the administration also is not inclined to take strong actions.
MN Singh, let's come to the big picture after the blast. What is it for you? You have been arguing that this kind of intense media focus on Sanjay Dutt is actually a sign of treating him with kid gloves, and we are missing the big picture. Isn't the big picture that the real masterminds of these blasts, which the Supreme Court has said actually sit in Pakistan or wherever else, we do not even know where Dawood Ibrahim is today? What's the big picture after this verdict?
The first thing is, I have a very serious objection that this entire serial blast is becoming Sanjay Dutt specific.
Yeah.
The larger picture, the importance of this case from the point of view of the country's security is being ignored, and also the hard work put in by Mumbai police in unraveling this mystery and this whole conspiracy which involved India, Dubai and Pakistan. That important work, and this is a case which has ended in conviction with 80% results. Not a single blot on the investigation of such a mammoth case. No compliment being paid to the Mumbai police. You are making it MN Singh versus Sanjay Dutt, which is highly objectionable. That is point number one. Number two, whenever we talk about this Mumbai serial blast case, we immediately try to find a escape route by talking about Sri Krishna Commission. Sri Krishna Commission report is one thing. There are certain cases registered. It was riot-related cases which have a different importance and profile altogether.
You don't agree with Bachi Karkaria that
the two cases separately. Don't try to find a escape route by and trivialize the importance of this big case of internal security by talking all the time about Sri Krishna Commission, Sri Krishna Commission. What is this Sri Krishna Commission? You asked Mr. Joshi about why he rejected. Well, if Justice Karju can go to the governor for a pardon to Sanjay Dutt, certainly the government of the state has a right to reject the commission's report findings. These are the powers under the Commissions of Inquiry Act. Mr. Joshi need not be asked to explain this.
So you're saying that Justice Karju is as entitled to go to the governor as the Shiv Sena is entitled to reject the findings of a judicial commission?
Or not. He has no business to make any suggestion to approach the governor. let the family members of Sanjay Dutt go, let Sanjay Dutt go. There are many avenues available.
Let me get Satish Manishande.
Who is this Mr.
Satish Manishande, has Sanjay Dutt
understand?
actually attracted a lot of negative publicity for himself?
If you look at the charge sheet filed by the police,
yeah.
If you look at the charges framed by the court, if you look at the first paragraph of the opening of the Supreme Court judgment, the entire thrust is that this bomb blast was planned pursuant to a revenge conspiracy hatched after the Bombay riots. So why are we shying away from the Bombay riots? If the main cause for this blast, according to the prosecution and the judgment of the Supreme Court, was the Bombay riots, what has the state government, what has the central government done to take action against those accused in the Bombay riots case? Secondly, the Babri Masjid, which was demolished, was the main reason why the Bombay riots and the subsequent event took place. We can't shy away from the
But that doesn't answer why Justice Karju should be going to a governor of a state.
I don't want to comment on what Justice Karju has said. There are still 4 weeks left. I do not know why all and sundry are jumping in to the aid of Sanjay Dutt. He is competent to engage lawyers. The lawyers are competent to advise him. So let us keep Mr. Karju and others away. But one thing that the prosecution as well as the state government and the CBI should answer is, what have they done to the riots cases? Because that is the foundation why this, and what we are missing is, after the riots took place in Bombay, the entire police machinery in Maharashtra was criticized. What action has the state government taken against
Okay, hold that thought. Hold that thought.
One more thing. What preventive action did the police intelligence take prior to the bomb blast?
Bachi, do you want to come in there briefly and then I'll go back to MN Singh and YPC?
I think it's a completely specious argument and a completely odious comparison to talk about Justice Karju shooting his mouth off on, I'm sorry, I hope that's not contempt, but even
if he's not a serving judge anymore, so you're saying.
That Justice Karju,
That's it.
shoot. One second.
She's saying he's shooting his mouth off. She is taking him on.
He's shooting his mouth off on this one small incident in this whole big picture of Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah.
And a very, very different thing about Justice Sri Krishna sitting for years, speaking to thousands of witnesses. How can you compare these two? Why bring Karju and Sanjay Dutt into this?
I think it's a ridiculous comparison. What Justice Karju is doing to Sri Krishna report is about an event that cost 900 lives.
But do you think 900 lives lost? I think that's
how is it any lesser than the Bombay blast?